She was a fashion trend-setting idol who happened to be an original member of AKB48 as well as being a part of the Kami 7. Forget kawaii though, this member was all about being cool and sexy. But being unique was something she also got hated for. Here we go again, stay tuned for this one. In this episode of Otaku Files, we take a look at Itano Tomomi. Most of us outside of Japan may not be aware of some of the more interesting personalities within the Japanese otaku landscape, so I thought I'd do a little video series and try to shed some light on these individuals. This is Otaku Files. When it comes to mainstream female Japanese idol groups, and that includes AKB48, what is usually expected are cute and approachable girls that are quote-unquote pure. But even within those groups, you may find some members that break that mainstream idol mold.
こんにちは。AKB48 チーム K 板野友美です。
And a good example of that would be Itano Tomomi. Making her debut back in 2005 as a first-gen member of AKB48, what made Itano Tomomi, nicknamed Tomochin, unique was undoubtedly her gyaru style. Oh, and her duck mouth, which apparently is a compliment. Anyway, I've talked about gyaru before in a previous video, but to keep it simple, it's a subculture that initially came about as a way to oppose the quote-unquote good girl standard Japanese women were expected to follow in the 1990s. The term is most commonly used to describe both the particular gyaru aesthetic and their cheerful personality. They also have their own unique way of speaking. Now, a trait of Tomochin showing her gyaru side, among other things, would be her signature brown hair. So what exactly made this so special? Well, from my research, even though it wasn't openly made public, there was supposedly a rule back then that all the AKB members needed to have black hair. And yet, Tomochin, for some reason, was allowed to have brown hair. We'll talk more about this a little later. Tomochin's particular gyaru style fashion and makeup that would be called Tomochin Meiku was also a huge influence on many young women nationwide, supposedly even on other idols. She was a strong-minded member determined to carve out her own path in life in her own particular way, and her career extends way beyond AKB48 too. Let's start from the beginning though. Tomochin is from the prefecture of Kanagawa, but spent a number of years when she was younger in Osaka. She has a younger sister, Itano Narumi, who would actually end up in the entertainment world too as an actress and a gravure idol. Now, unlike the strong Tomochin that the world would get to know during her kindergarten years, she was actually super shy. So much so that she wouldn't even go near the teacher. Her mother was kind of worried about her. That was until Tomochin came across the female vocal/dance group Speed on TV. Becoming a massive fan, she would dance and sing along with them all the time. And according to her mother, this is what eventually helped bring out her personality. Tomochin would then ask her mother what she would need to do to be on TV herself. Her mother told her it might be possible if she just tried hard enough, and this is said to be why she aimed for a career in entertainment. Although Tomochin did apparently say things like she wanted to be tofu around this time too, but never mind that. Now, Tomochin wanted to start taking dance lessons so she could aim to be like members of Speed, but her mother noticed that even though she was good at dancing and singing, her body was kind of weak since she would often get sick afterwards. So her mother told her that she could take dance lessons if she got good at swimming first. Tomochin would finally be able to start taking those lessons in her third year of elementary school. What's interesting is that her dance lessons would lead her to her first taste of the entertainment industry, as she would become a junior back dancer for some pretty big names, such as EXILE, Shimatani Hitomi, and BoA. Here, you might be tempted to think, so this is how she got into AKB48. Not so fast. Turns out our Tomochin, who wanted to become tofu all those years ago, would become a bit of a delinquent during middle school. She would end up quitting being a dancer and even do things like skip out on her cram classes so that she could hang out with her friends. I mean, that sounds like something I would have done, so not one to judge. What this resulted in was a family meeting where they discussed Tomochin's future. Believe it or not, a big part of her just wanted to lead a normal life. But she still had that dream of hers from when she was little, so as sort of a last chance, she would end up taking the AKB48 audition. Luckily, she ended up passing. By the way, it was specifically her mother who recommended Tomochin to take the AKB48 audition because she knew Akimoto Yasushi was a really good producer. So it was all thanks to mum. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all of Tomochin's accomplishments since it would be a very long video, but as I talked about in the beginning, she was a really popular member and one of the central figures of the original AKB48 lineup. However, there were some that weren't exactly fans of her, and a lot of this comes down to the perception of quote-unquote special treatment. This seems to have started when Tomochin, with the permission of AKB48's producer Akimoto Yasushi, was able to dye her hair brown. Whether or not other members had asked the same and were turned down, I'm not sure, but in an interview, Akimoto Yasushi said the reason he gave her permission was that he felt that Tomochin was the representative of the typical modern girl. But some fans thought it was unfair. Also, in 2008, Tomochin would make her debut as an exclusive model for the fashion magazine Kawaii. This apparently was the first time an AKB48 member started doing solo activities. At a time where doing things as a group was sort of the standard, this was viewed as favoritism. There are some other things here and there, but in all honesty, the reasons seem kind of petty, to be frank. And we're most likely talking about a few very loud haters that didn't represent how the majority of fans felt. Perhaps somewhat related to this, Tomochin did have some complicated feelings about being an idol. What she actually wanted to be was more of a cool solo artist. Obviously, this was at odds with being a member of the Kawaii Idols You Can Meet branded AKB48. But Tomochin explains that being an idol wasn't so bad, as it did help her learn how to express herself. And even though there may have been times she didn't want to be seen as an idol, she did think that side of her was kind of cute. She would eventually be able to make her debut as a solo artist because she made it pretty clear to Akimoto Yasushi what her ambitions were, and would constantly ask him when she could make her debut. Tomochin would release her debut single Dear J in 2011, which managed to achieve second place in the weekly charts. Now, Tomochin's graduation would be announced in a slightly unusual way. It would be done within AKB48's documentary released in the beginning of 2013 called Documentary of AKB48 No Flower Without Rain, Shoujo Tachi wa Namida no Ato ni Nani o Miru. That's a long-ass title. When asked about the reason for her graduating, Tomochin explains that there were actually many times that she felt like quitting. When she dropped in rank, she felt like she had lost her place within the group. This, coupled with the fact she wanted to go solo anyway, is why she decided it was time. Tomochin would graduate in August of that same year. Now, Tomochin did a lot of different things after leaving AKB48 besides carrying on her successful solo career. This would include hosting her own TV show along with TV personality Kojima Ruriko, having her own radio show, and making her debut as a lead actress in the movie Nozokime. Tomochin even became an entrepreneur, starting with the launch of her own brand in 2022 called Rosie Loose. This is probably why I've seen her show up on some business-related YouTube channels. Of course, what also needs to be mentioned is that she got married to baseball player Takahashi Keiji. She would also give birth to her first daughter in 2021. I think we can all agree that when Tomochin decides something, she doesn't stop until she achieves it. Through hard work and unwavering determination, she managed to make her dreams come true. Anyway, let's leave it there. Thank you all again, as always, for watching. Yes, there might be more AKB48 videos in the future, as long as people wish for it, but let me know what other people or Japan-related topics you'd like me to cover in the comments section below. Thank you again, guys. Happy holidays. Take care. Peace. Bye.